It was a memorable day for your continent and for all the modern world into which Africa has emerged as an indispensable partner. The charter signed on that day declares that it is the inalienable right of all people to control their destiny, that freedom, equality, justice, and dignity are essential objectives of the African peoples. It pledges to harness the natural and human resources of Africa for the total advancement of your peoples. My country knows what those words mean. To us and to you, they are not mere abstractions. They are a living part of our experience as men and as nations. They sum up the basic aspirations which your people and mine share in common: to secure the right of self-government, to build strong democratic institutions, to improve the level of every citizen's well-being. We have learned that these aspirations are indivisible. If it takes self-determination to become a free nation, it also takes a climate of regular growth to remain one. And that means the wise development of human and natural resources. Whether nations are 5 years old or 190 years old, the striving for these goals never really ends. No nation ever completes the task of combining freedom with responsibility, liberty with order, and applying these principles day after day to our new problems. Because these principles are embedded in the hearts of Africans and Americans alike, I've asked you to come here today to join me in commemorating the founding of the Organization of African Unity. It is a good occasion to reaffirm a unity of purpose that transcends two continents. As your charter and as our Declaration of Independence set forth, we believe that governments must derive their just powers from the consent of the governed. This is the core of political freedom and the first principle of nation building. In the past 15 years, belief in self-determination has fired the swift momentum of Africa toward full participation in the community of nations. It has been a truly remarkable era in which more than 30 nations have emerged from colonialism to independence. So there is in Africa today an increasing awareness that government must represent the true will of its citizens. Across the continent, the majority of people prefer self-government with peril to subservience with serenity. This makes all the more repugnant the narrow-minded, outmoded policy which in some parts of Africa permits the few to rule at the expense of the many. The United States has learned from lamentable personal experience that domination of one race by another leads to waste and to injustice, just as we're determined to remove the remnants of inequality from our midst. We're also with you, heart and soul, as you try to do the same. We believe, as you do, that denial of a whole people's rights to shape their national future is morally wrong. The government of the United States cannot, therefore, condone the perpetuation of racial or political injustice anywhere in the world. We shall continue to provide our full share of assistance to refugees from social and political oppression. As a basic part of our national tradition, we support self-determination and an orderly transition to majority rule in every quarter of the globe. These principles have guided our American policy from India to the Philippines, from Vietnam to Pakistan, They guide our policy today toward Rhodesia. We are giving every encouragement and support to the efforts of the United Kingdom and the United Nations to restore legitimate government in Rhodesia. Only when this is accomplished can steps be taken to open the full power and responsibility of nationhood to all the people of Rhodesia, not just 6% of them. The disruptive effects of current sanctions fall heavily upon Zambia, adding a difficult burden to that young republic's efforts to strengthen its national life. I've informed President Kenneth Kaunda that we will work with him in trying to meet the economic pressures to which his country is being subjected. The foreign policy of the United States is rooted in its life at home. We will not permit human rights to be restricted in our own country, and we will not support policies abroad which are based on the rule of minorities or the discredited notion that men are unequal before the law. We will not live by a double standard, professing abroad what we do not practice at home, or venerating at home what we ignore abroad. We are anxious to work with you to fulfill your ambitions. Working with others, we are prepared to help build with you a modern Africa. I can think of many missions on which America and Africa can all work together. First, to strengthen the regional economic activities that you have already begun. My country has offered the African Development Bank technical assistance funds to finance surveys of project possibilities and loan funds for capital projects. We are ready to assist regional economic communities through technical assistance and through the financing of capital projects. These will help to integrate the various economic regions of Africa. Second, to increase the number of trained Africans. We have been devoting a large part of our aid funds for Africa to education. This proportion will increase. This year, we are assisting in the development and the staffing of 24 colleges and universities. We are financing graduate and undergraduate training for over 2,000 African students in the United States. And altogether, almost 7,000 African students are studying with us now. We are helping some 40 secondary and vocational training institutions in Africa. We're aiding 21 teacher training institutions while also providing thousands of teachers, mostly through our Peace Corps. But these efforts are not enough. One of the greatest needs is to overcome the frustration of many qualified students who are unable to obtain a higher education. To help meet that problem, we propose to assist your efforts to make certain African universities regional centers of training and professional excellence, to explore with your governments an African student program for deserving students to attend African universities. Third, to develop effective communication systems for Africa. Africa is an immense continent embracing 37 states with still more to emerge. Their communication links were formed in colonial times and tie them more to the outside world than to each other. Africa's continental development needs a modern communication system to meet regional requirements. The United States has already financed several capital projects for communication facilities. We have provided technical assistance to communication services in a number of countries. I have authorized new surveys looking to the widening of existing telecommunications. So we want to explore these and other ways to respond to African needs. I have instructed the Secretary of State and other American officials to review our own development policies and programs in Africa. We shall be seeking new ideas and advice from American scholars, businessmen, and experts concerned with Africa's problems. Our ambassador to Ethiopia, Ed Corey, will be working full-time in the weeks ahead to follow through these initiatives. We wish to discuss these new cooperative approaches and ideas with African governments, as well as with other governments and international groups. The United States wants to respond in any way that will be genuinely helpful, from the private American citizen to a combination of many nations, from a bilateral effort with a single African country to regional programs. Above all, we wish to respond in ways that will be guided by the vision of Africa herself, so that the principles we share and the principles which underline the OAU Charter come to life in conformity with the culture and the aspirations of the African people. It is this deepening appreciation and respect for the diversity of the world, each man and nation in it, that increases the possibilities for peace and order. The Organization of African Unity has become an important organ for building that peace and order. On this third anniversary, my countrymen, join me in asking you to come here this afternoon, and join me in saluting you and the people that you so ably represent. Thank you very much.